Got it.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us, Golda. Before we get started, can you say something very little about yourself and what you do for the audience?
Okay, well, I'm really, really happy to be here and to do this. I just enjoy talking about mental health. So I just turned 30 on August 18th. So I'm so new to the 30 yet, but I'm loving it already. So we'll see what the next couple months brings. But I am a mental health counselor. And I work with like children, teens, adults, families, couples. I think, it's just, and I love it. Like, I love doing the work and just being able to support people or even just educate on the topic and, normalizing it. I like when people feel empowered by it, so you're not feeling so stigmatized by it. So that's what I do for work. And then for fun, I like going on hikes, but it has to have a waterfall, because if there's no waterfalls, then there's no motivation to do the hikes. So I love that. I've been enjoying that and just exploring the city that I live in. So that's fun. Yeah, I think that's a little bit about me. Is there anything else that I have missed?
No. Maybe you missed out the fact that you're Ghanaian Canadian, but
oh yes, I'm Ghanaian. Yeah.
So guys, it's gonna be different from what you're going to hear today because everyone else is British, but this one here is a Canadian. So enjoy. All right. Okay, so we're going to get started with our first question, and that is simply, what is mental health?
What is mental health? So, when we look at mental health, it's basically referring to the state, of your mental well-being. So the mental state, right? And so that includes your emotional, psychological, and obviously your social well-being, right? Because those impact your mental health. So your mental state then, or your mental health, affects how you think, how you feel, and how you act, right? And the state can be poor or good. So whatever it is, that state, it helps determine how you handle stress, how you relate with others, how you make choices, right? And it's important in every stage of life. So, from childhood, you obviously have a mental state, and then your adulthood and adolescence and all that. It's just the state of your emotional, psychological, social well-being.
Okay, thank you, Lord.
Yeah, and I guess different things can impact it too, like biological factors, your genetics, your life experiences, such as like trauma or abuse, or you had some great life experiences, right? And then it's going to be good mental health. And then family mental health history and mental health problems, those can also impact your mental health. So that's the health.
Right. Well, that's very good. Thank you for mentioning that. So since you've mentioned that, we're going to talk about good mental health because we want everyone to have a better mental health. So what does good mental health look like in general? So what's the good state of mental health looking like? How does it resemble? How can we tell someone with a good mental health?
Yeah, because remember what we said, that our mental state is going to affect how you feel, think, and act. So a good mental health state, you look at those sort of three areas of the person, right? How did they think? How did they feel? And how did they act? Your behaviors. So if you tend to be able to cope with, like, if you're resilient, like if you can bounce back from challenges, then you have a good mental health, right? You're able to realize your full potential. Like you can see ahead, you can see the future, you have hope, you have motivation, right? To keep, you can be considered to have a good mental health. You're able to function in your workplace or your school, or so the areas of functioning, like home, school, work, relationships, right, social. So if you're able to function in those areas, pretty well, and not sort of overwhelmed by it, then you could say that your mental state is in a good place to be able to handle those things. When you're able to also make contributions to the society, to your community, right? So you're going, you're doing things, but not because you're like being pressured or forced to do anything, but in your own will, you're able to do that, right? If you're sleeping well, like you're having an adequate amount of sleep, like you're not like no insomnia or like sleeping too much, like hypersomnia, and you're eating well, like you have appetite to eat, and you're eating a balanced meal and things like that, those can promote good mental health. So if you're able to do that, you're pretty good in that. Yeah, and you're able to get active and get up and go, right? Not like that low motivation or low energy, and if you're able to do that, so you're able to, so thinking wise, you're able to have a realistic mindset, or let's say a mindset that is able to look beyond the challenges and be able to problem solve things. Mindset that's not easily like defeated and turns into sort of feelings of despair, or like so if you're able to have those sort of that thinking, to be able to challenge your thoughts, right, to see what's happening, to be able to see the negatives and the positives and put them together and create a new idea, which is like what we'll call a wise mind, right? To be able to create a new way of seeing the situation, right? A new perspective. Then we can say you have good mental health. And if you're able to also see alternatives to situations, right? Then you're really broadening sort of your horizon. So things like that we can consider. So I always say, like, when people have skills to manage the cognitive part of you, so that's the thinking, you're able to notice what you're thinking, check the fact. Is this really what's happening? Or, do I really need to look into it? Do I need to consider all sides? That's the cognitive, positive affirmations, like those kind of things that we could do that. And then the affect, that's the feelings. You have strategies for your feelings. You know how to recognize what you're feeling, and then how to then regulate it. What do you do when you're feeling down? Because good mental health does not mean you're not going to have like ups and downs, right? It's basically how to bounce back or how to cope with those things. So what do you do with your feelings? How do you know what you're feeling? Do you know what you're feeling? Can you name it? And then when you're feeling that, what do you do? What are your healthy coping strategies to do, right? And then behaviors. What are you choosing to do when you're feeling sad or anxious? Or are you choosing unhealthy coping or positive coping, right? And then your social circle. Do you have attachment figures that are reliable, that can support you? That are, do you even reach out for help? All those can promote mental well-being.
Yep. Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Golda. That was a lot. But what I picked up from what you said, you mentioned resilience, and you also mentioned motivation. So those are two key things that I think that for everyone would need to have in order to have to always, or to be in a good mental health state as much as possible. And it's very important that as we go through life, especially in this phase that we're in right now, being 30s, or whatever age we're in, we learn to be able to identify our feelings and emotions, and actually find ways to be able to put it on the upside rather than the downside. Lots of people enjoy pity parties. I enjoy them sometimes. I want to feel sorry for myself, but we need to learn how to be able to fight those negative thoughts or feelings and try to bounce back to our better state. So that leads me on to the next question. What daily practices must one do to have to be in a good mental health state?
Yeah, I think it's good to know if you have know your triggers, right? Like know the things that cause you stress, or the things that cause you to be on edge or uncomfortable, because basically like emotions are good, right? They're all good, all of it, like sad, anger, like all, like we need them, right? So how to day is just knowing, like learning about your feelings, learning about yourself, right? Knowing what triggers you, and then what are you feeling, right? Know that, and then what to do. So some of these self-care, and self-care does not only mean like taking a shower or massages or
facials.
It's basically knowing boundaries, right? Say no when you can't do it, right? No, it's hard. It's hard for a lot of us, like even me. It's hard for a lot of us to say no. So knowing how to say no, or I'll call you later, or let's do later, right? Know your boundaries, right? Those are very important. And knowing how to stay organized, right? Like, so if you have a lot on your plate, that's going to impact your mental health, right? So knowing to be able to structure your day, get some routine going, so that you're not being like flooded by different things here and there, right? So I think some for good mental health, you really need to have some routine and structure in your day. So when I wake up, this is what I do, this is where I'm going to work, I'm going to come home, I'm going to, right? Structure, routine, obviously does not mean that it has to be that way, but that just brings you some sense of grounding, right? You feel grounded, you know what's coming up next, right? So day to day, doing like having routine and structure and trying to follow it as much as you can. And then when things don't go as planned, being flexible to go with the flow, right? So flexibility in our minds and our behaviors are key for, helping to manage, to have a good mental health.
Okay, good. So guys, I hope you're taking notes. So a structure, making sure that you have some kind of routine to follow really helps as well. So first one, structure, routine. And the second one she also mentioned is also to be able to be flexible. So as much as you have your to-do list or your agenda, try to make space for when things don't go according to plan and be quite flexible. Yeah, okay. Very good. And would you also say that?
Sorry, I was gonna say, and just have a social network that is positive and supportive, because we're not an island. Like we can't do everything on our. The things you can do, but sometimes the people around, because even when we do when people have trauma and you do therapy and support, it's the relationship really that is the initial step to get into wellness, right? So it's so powerful to have like people around you who are positive, who are supportive, who understand, who you can connect with in during times of like hardship or whatnot. Like, so being alone, loneliness is like really impacting mental health to the worst, right? Having connections.
Yeah. And if actually, when you mentioned that, it reminds me of one of the I guess, I don't know if I should call it a symptom or a result of depression. It's when people feel isolated. So during when people are depressed, they tend to be kind of within themselves and try to push people away. So it's definitely important to have people in your life that you can hold, have a sense of community and love and all of those good things, accountability. And at my workplace, we have daily check-ins. So when we have a meeting before we start, it's just, how are you feeling right now? What's your mood? And then we'll have a conversation about what's making you feel down or whatever it is. So it's very important that we have, people around us that are checking in on us. So I guess for everyone here, it's also a message to us to also reach out to other people as well. If there are people in your circle, or it's been a long time since we've been able to meet. In some countries, they're still in lockdown, so you still have the phone, you have text, reach out to someone, text them or call them and find out how they're doing. So it's very important to be caring and to also have people around you that care for you. It's good. Okay, another one as well. Would you also say exercise also helps to bring people into a better mental health state?
Absolutely, yeah. Exercise is so key, right? Because it really releases the feel good hormones, like endorphins that gets released. So, and it works like some of the medications that people take for mental illnesses. So exercise is so good. By doing that, you release feel good hormones. So automatically you're gonna, get some good feelings. It can also help sort of less tense in your muscles, right? Anxiety, people tend to be tensed up. Like you don't even know when your shoulders are like this when you're tensed up, right?
Yeah.
Exercise helps with that. And they're recommending, like, I think 30 minutes of exercise a day. And it's so good. It's so useful. Like, and even just if you do it outdoors, great as well, right? Because then you get to get that fresh air, you get to look at the scenery and all that, but you can certainly do it in your home too. But yes, exercise is important, very, to keep that. And then even if you do exercise,
good.
and and you exercise, and it also gives you the secondary benefits of your body and fitness and all that, then that also adds that extra, self-esteem booster, or, body. Exactly. So it's good.
Very true. Very true. Good. Yeah. So exercise and try to get outside as well. Fresh air. Okay, good. And then my next question will be, I don't know which one to go for first, but I think I'll go for I'll go for this one first. And it's, what should one do to relieve stress? So that's quite a big question. You can give us three points. What can we do to relieve stress when someone's, obviously, work, matters of life, they give us stress sometimes? How can we relieve the stress?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good question. The one thing I'm going to say is identify your stressor. Because sometimes it's so many things at the same time. So we get so overwhelmed that we don't even tackle the source of our stress. Remember what I said before, like sometimes people are doing self-care, like they're getting a massage when you have something due for work that's causing you the stress. So a massage is not gonna take away the stress, right? So, but a massage is good because it's gonna relax you to be able to go do that thing that's causing you stress. So know your stressors. Be able to tease it apart, because it's like an iceberg, right? There's always more that's underneath it if we don't if we don't deal with the stressors as they come, it's going to pile up,
Mm.
going to burn out, right? So if it's like work stressing you, and then you've got like kids on top, and then you've got like friends, and you got that, you got to tackle each stressor as they come. Don't put it off, don't postpone, don't, tackle them as they come, and deal with each stress one at a time, so you don't overwhelm yourself, right?
Yourself. Wow.
So I'd say know your stressor, and then break it down.
Okay, break it down.
Break it down, deal with them one at a time, and try to do things gradual, one step at a time. Sometimes I've heard examples where people might feel, if I don't do it quickly, then I'm not going to be able to get it done. Or if I don't do all of it right now, I'm not going to get it done. And then you're overwhelmed with the much work that you have to do, that you procrastinate, the fear of, so many things that you have to do. So I always say, break it down, just do small things at a time. If you've got like a big project, spread it out over time. But if you don't have too much time, do small pieces at a time. And a small piece is going to motivate you to do a little bit more, because when we try to tackle everything at once, we sometimes set ourselves up for failure. So if you want to be successful, I know that taking a pen to paper is one step. And if you do that, I know that's going to make you, like, you're going to feel accomplished. Oh, I did that. And then you add the next step, and then you add in. Slow down and do things one at a time. I'll say that too. And I'll say, don't also forget to breathe, right? Deep breathing is so important. You're basically resetting your body when you do that. It's a simple technique, but it's so powerful that you're resetting, you're allowing oxygen to flow through your body, you're allowing the air to flow through your heart, you're slowing down your heart rate. Like, you're just, that one breath is literally life, because you are breathing in life. So it's very important to just slow down, take a deep breath. It's going to reset you, and then you're going to be able to use sort of your prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking, to be able to then navigate the problem, right? So, and then I'll also say, like, take time out, like take breaks if you can, right? Take some breaks. If you're feeling really overwhelmed, delegate things if you can, right?
Don't try to do it all by yourself, isn't it?
Exactly, right?
Okay, right, okay. There's some few things I've heard.
Sorry, one thing that I want to mention is being mindful, right? Being in the present moment. Like, because we tend to think of the future and the past, like we're worrying about the future and we're worrying about the past, but try to stay here in this moment. What can you control right now, right? This moment.
Okay, so there's something that we call mindfulness. So I guess that's that practice of being in the present, and it takes some form of meditation. And I think there's a lot of breathing involved, and imagining things, and giving you scenarios and how would you handle this, and so that's a good practice. And I think it would be good if we took some time to also try to partake in these kind of exercises sometimes, especially when it gives us a chance to breathe and just reflect as well. Okay. Another one, or a few I've heard about as well, is to do something that you love. Would you say that's also something that helps to release stress? Do something that you love.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good point, because what happens is, because in life we've got like our things that we have to do, like work or school, we have to, and then we've got the things we want to do or we enjoy doing. And if the things that you have to do outweigh the things you enjoy doing, then you're going to burn out. But if the things you enjoy doing outweigh the things that have to be done, then you're obviously going to slack off and things are going to fall apart. But if you have a nice balance of doing, things that are important and then doing the things you enjoy and have fun, then you're really increasing that positive feeling. You're managing stress with that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And talking to someone, would that help as well?
Talking to someone definitely would help. Somebody who can help, because sometimes when we talk to people about our stress, they silver line it and they go, at least this is not happening, at least you have that, or stay positive, it will be okay. Sometimes that is invalidating. So finding the people who can truly listen and understand and even help you sort of like break down the stressors and problem solve. So yeah, talk to somebody who will be effective and supportive.
Encouraging. Okay, good. All right, guys, there's a lot to take in here. And I know you've got your pens ready, you're writing. So I'll give you a few moments to just breathe and maybe catch up a bit. Should we practice breathing?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, breathe in and out. That felt good. So we need to do that more often. When you wake up in the morning, breathe in and out. All right. Okay. So my last question is also a bit related to the stress, but it's also related to self-image. So as women, especially, I think I see it more in women than in men. We don't tend to have a positive self-image about ourselves. It's just basically we have to find fault in everything. You can have a perfect this, there has to be a fault finding somewhere, and that can also affect the way that we see ourselves. It affects how we the confidence that we have. So my next question would be, how can someone build up a positive self-image? This is also a huge question, but how can someone build up a positive self-image? They might look the same way they do, but how can they change that focus from I don't like my this to I appreciate what I have, and I'm going to treasure this. I'm going to flaunt I have a beautiful smile. I'm going to smile more often. How do we do that?
Yeah, no, I think, how to build that. First of all, know your values, right? I think people should take some time to know what you value, right? So if you're looking out and comparing yourself with others, then I'm not sure, then you want to ask yourself, do you know your values, and are you grounded in your values? Because people change. So if you base your self image or self on others, they're going to be different things all the time. So your sense of self is going to change all the time, right? So if society is saying, the fair skin is what's in it, and you go and you fair skin, and then now it changes to, the dark skin is it, then you go, then there's it's very unstable. So no, for you, define beauty for you, not society standards, but yours, right? And then take self-image inventory, right? Take a list of yourself, the things you like about yourself, right? What are so instead of focusing on the negatives, and even if there are things that you don't like about, I think it's normal to say that there's some things about us that we don't like, and that's okay, because it's normal to look at some things and go, this, that, but it's important to focus on what you do have and what you do appreciate about yourself, and make a list and put it on your mirror, put it where you go usually, like is it your laptop or wherever, and really look at it daily, and affirm it and say it back to yourself, and actually spend some time. Because what happens is when we struggle with self-image, then we don't look at the positive things that we have. We only focus negatives. So when people actually spend time making a list of the positives, you're going to be able to notice some things about yourself that are actually pretty great that you've not been paying attention to because you only focus on the negatives, right?
Yeah.
And then you could also ask like significant others to describe some positive qualities about you, like, because it's going to be more deliberate, right? If you intend to build a positive self-image, then the people around you can sort of share some of those things with you, like, hey, I like this about you, and I like this, you know what I mean? And that's especially because, yes, we value ourselves, but we're also impacted and influenced by our surroundings as well.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how. And I'll also say confront your thinking. Do you know what I mean? Like confront it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
you
Yes.
gotta like look at yourself and go, why am I thinking what I'm thinking? Where did it come from? You always have to examine your life, like the life that's the life not that you it's not examined is not worth living. You have to constantly examine your life and go, where did I get this from? Why is it that I hate this about myself? Where is the message coming from? And confront it, challenge your thoughts, right? Because our thoughts are not always true. It's not fact. It's what you think, right? So being able to challenge that. And yeah, so don't refrain from comparing selves. Really, like it's the biggest downfall to compare yourself with people. We're all created, built differently, wonderfully, created to something special about you. There's that quote that says, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's gonna live its whole life believing that it's stupid.
Wow.
Don't climb trees.
They don't.
Really well, but if they start on climbing trees, then they're gonna miss out on the skills they have in the world. Yeah, so we're all built differently. We're unique. We have different skills and talents and different looks and different features. And when we focus on our features, then we get to focus on the strength that comes in that, the purpose in that, or the beauty in that, right? We don't always have to be followers. We can set our own standards and we can, do that. So yeah, so that's what I'll say is that you're unique. You're created differently. Your features, your looks, all that, your appearance was created the way that it was to serve a purpose, and it was perfectly done that way for that. So don't feel stupid because you can't climb a tree when you swim. Yeah, so that's
exactly. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that quote that you gave. It's very very thought-provoking. And I guess one more I would like to add as well. We had last month? Yeah, last month I had a conversation with Miss Kemi Oyisola, and she was talking about how to think. So if you would, actually, it's a good time to say that, go back on our Facebook page and try to find that video. It was an hour talk, and we had a conversation about how to think. So it's very, very broad. So go back and watch that. And then going back to what you mentioned as well about comparing ourselves and how like the standards of beauty are always changing. Would you say that it's also helpful to maybe switch off social media at some point if it gets too much, to switch off social media and just take a break from social media and focus on reality?
Exactly, right? Because too much of everything is just, it's not good. Like you need a balance, right? So if you're finding that, because if you live on social media and everything about your life, your movement is based on that, it's going to be very unstable for you. You're going to have ups and downs in your emotions because, like I said, people show you the glamour things on social media, right? And even when they show the negatives, it's more like short-lived, and it's seeking, there's a goal to it, you know what I mean? So if you're finding that social media is impacting your mental health, yes, take a break from it, or sometimes unfollow some pages that you don't need to follow them. Like, because I'm assuming that, you know, people would follow certain things because it's edifying them and it's building them and it's, you know, motivating and it's inspiring and pushing you. But you have to look at a page on Instagram and then like have these negative thoughts about yourself and feel stressed and just unhappy. I'd say definitely rethink that and maybe do take a break from social media, because what is it really benefiting you, right? So yeah.
Wow. Very true. Very, very true. Okay, I have one more question, but I think we'll be going off topic with this one. So I guess what I would want to ask you is, it's quite a personal question, but you turned 30 recently, actually 3 days ago, right? 3 days ago. So I'd like to ask you, what would you like to conquer? What area of your life would you like to conquer in your 30s? I'm sure it's all of them, really, but give us a not too much detail. What would you like to conquer in your 30s?
What would I like to conquer? Yeah, no, there's just so much on the list to do. But I think academically, I'd like to go back and do my doctorate, my PhD. So I set a time for myself, but I'm almost there. So I need to
Wow.
I don't have enough time right now to meet the deadline I gave to myself. So I want to be able to do that in my 30s.
Wow. So. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, very soon I'll have to call you Dr. Golda. Oh, exciting. That's amazing. That's amazing. And yeah.
By the grace of God.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the grace of God. It will definitely happen by God's grace. If that's what you desire to do, then why not? All right. So we've come to the end of our session with Miss Golda, soon to be Dr. Golda. And she's given us a portion of her time. We really appreciate you for sharing your time and your thoughts and your experiences with us. And we hope that the next time we see you, you will be doing amazing things with a doctorate degree to back it up as well. And guys, if you want to follow Golda, she's going to tell you her social media handles for you to follow her. And Ideal Life Foundation, if you can give us a brief overview of what it's about as well.
Yeah. Okay. So the social media on Instagram and Facebook is ideal. So it's ideal.life.foundation on the social media. And Ideal Life was formed, you know, me and my siblings, I mean, we got together and we got talking, but the premise of it is, I don't know if you guys know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where he talks about basic needs. Step one, with food, clothing, shelter, right? And then you've got your psychological needs and your safety needs. So safety needs, people to have a job and feel safe in your home and all that. And then psychological, to have self-esteem, social, and then up until self-actualization, which is at the top. And self-actualization for us is the ideal life. Ideal life doesn't mean that you have a perfect life. It's basically the ideal life that you want for yourself, no matter what it looks like for you.
Wow.
Right? purpose of this was to be able to have a place where basic needs will be met, will be supported and provided. So we're still working. We're not all there yet. We just building, but we're hoping to eventually be able to provide food and clothing and shelter. That's the basic need.
Wow.
We want to provide a place where people can also feel safe. So you're gonna and also build like your occupational safe security. So a place where you'll learn life skills. So we teach different life skills, mental health skills, finances, arts, like creatives, like everything, like budgeting, all the skills that one needs so that you can be built and ready to go into the workforce. Right. So we're looking at all age range. We're basically dealing with youth, young adults, and their families. Right. So, so basically just, wanting people to be able to have the skills they need to be successful in the future, in their lives, to reach their full potential. Because in families, when there's no, like when their income is a problem, finances is an issue, you're not able to focus and do the parenting and really support kids. And then what happens is they're seeking that from friends, from society, and then lots of different sort of unhealthy stuff can come from that, right? So yeah,
Wow.
so I feel like just trying to sort of create that safe place where people can learn to navigate the world in a better way that works for them. Yeah.
Wow, that's a beautiful concept. Yeah, it sounds amazing, and it is amazing. So we're also supporting you, back you with that. So if you're interested in mentoring or providing some of your skills that you probably have someone who's very interested in budgeting, then reach out to Golda. Any kind of experience will really help, maybe with broadcasting or writing or anything, CV writing, just let Golda know. So we have a social media handle. I'll put that in the description box as well, and then you can reach out to her to follow her. She's doing great work, and she's obviously very knowledgeable as well. So do reach out to her and also follow her page. And we'd like to say thank you so much, Golda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really, it's nice. It's exciting to do these kind of talks and just also get to talk to Claudia, because it's been so long that we've seen. So it's nice to see on social media and connect. So
definitely.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. I'm gonna stop it now.